Why, hello there, A Knife's Tale here, bringing you another knife review. I do hope this video finds you well today, and I hope you like what you're seeing, and if you do, consider a like, a subscription, that sort of stuff to the channel, just help support, doesn't cost you anything, and, heck, if you don't, but don't do it right away. Watch the video, maybe you don't like what you see, maybe you're not interested whatsoever, you certainly don't have to support me, but make the decision if you're interested in seeing more. And if you're not, let me know why. That'd be great too. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at the WE Orpheus today. This is the spicy version. The spiciest of versions of this knife. And normally I would shy very far away from the spicy versions of the WE knives because their Damasteel is crazy, overpriced usually. However, this one is a strange anomaly, and we're going to talk about that after we get done with specs, which we'll start with right now. 3.5 inches to right here. If you want to go to the actual plunge grind, you've got, or the beginning of the plunge grind, or the end, I don't know which you want to call it. You got almost 3 3/4 inches of blade. Overall, little under 8 5/8. The handle, it's about 5 and not quite a quarter, 5 1/8, somewhere in between there. I mean, if you take it from down there, it's actually only 4 3/4, but is what it is. Let's move to comparisons. If I can find them. My desk is a mess at the moment. I have been doing unboxings and such that are up on the channel, should you care to watch those videos. And it has created a bit of a storm that I have to address shortly. Comparisons to the small Civivi Elementum and the full-size Civivi Conspirator, which is the actual parent brand. WE is the parent brand of Civivi, so this is their big brother. And it is their big brother, as you can see. It is a bigger knife. The blade length to the front of the scale is only... that's pretty even with the Conspirator. I mean, you technically get a little bit more. So the handle length is a little bit longer, and sort of fused in there is some extra length in the blade, I suppose. Where are the batteries? There they are. That can't be good. Alright, grip length on this knife before we move to thickness. Yeah, you have, like, 1 2/3 of a AA battery in here. I can get my hands in there. You can definitely wrap around and still get a full 4-finger grip. And arguably you have 2 full AA batteries, plus you have a generous sharpening choil and finger choil up here that is more than adequate for getting your hand on this knife. I very highly doubt, unless you have massive hands, that you're going to have too much trouble, despite the relatively interesting angles that some of this knife has. Thickness, compared to the Conspirator, looks to be just a little bit thinner. Just a little bit thinner, yeah. I thought that was the calipers that fell a second ago, but it wasn't, so they're right here. Actual thickness. The scales do stick out a little bit further, so I'll be measuring from there. 512 thousandths. So yeah, it is a little bit thinner than the Conspirator at like 520 something. Blade stock thickness is a very nice 125 thousandths. And behind the edge, this is very thin. Like, I'm pretty positive, in fact, I'm almost absolutely certain this is a flat grind, but my word, is it a thin one. Woo, it gets wickedly thin. 10 thousandths behind the edge. Yeah. This thing came with a really good edge on it, and it is sharp as heck. And it cuts really well. It's got great geometry. This is a great using knife. And honestly, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. After we're done specs, it doesn't matter. For now, weight 4.32 ounces. And you're thinking, okay, well, that's not an ounce an inch. That's nothing impressive. But what I didn't mention about this knife is it is an integral. One piece. There is no hardware other than the pivot. And, well, what's holding on the clip and the lock bar insert. But this is a solid piece of titanium. So, no internal milling, just some external milling for the scales of carbon fiber. That's pretty light for that. That's pretty good. The hardware is T8 all around. Everything, including the lock bar insert, is T8 hardware, which is wonderful to see. Alright. I think that brings us to the end of our specs. So let's just talk about this thing. First of all, it's a flipper-only knife. This fuller-ish thing is really softened and rounded. It does not work for, like, reverse flicking this thing at all. It's a flipper-only knife. Some people won't like that, but it is what it is. The jimping on the flipper is great, by the way. Like, this is really good, catchy jimping. We have a trailing clip point style blade with actually still pretty good access to the tip. Nice thin, as I said before. High flat grind. Great sharpening choil plunge grind execution. It comes out like halfway there, which keeps it thick enough back here that it's still comfortable while being kept away from the edge. Very sharp, as I said. Beautiful, beautiful finish. One thing that WE does that I don't think everybody knows that they do to their Damasteel, and part of the reason their Damasteel tends to be so much more expensive, but we'll talk about that again, is WE's Damasteel is like mirror polished, or darn near mirror polished, like very close to being a perfect mirror polish. And that seems to be the case on pretty much all of their Damasteel that I know of. Not that it justifies the kind of prices that we typically ask for their Damasteel, mind you, but that is part of it. It is a frame lock, of course. It is an integral. There's a little plasma anode pivot collar. I'm not a huge fan of the plasma anode, but I mean, when it's kept down to this minimal of a little accent, I'm not going to complain. The handle is black coated or black washed. I'm not sure what this finish is. It's clearly bronze anode peaks, but maybe a PVD over top of that. I'm not sure. This is an Arctic, I believe, blue camo carbon. There were several variants of this knife. Tons of fine milling. Very, very nice to the touch. Very nice, creating very comfortable chamfers. Lots of detail in the back. I mean, this is just, of course, all decorative, but it's really nice to see, other than just leaving it clean. It's extra milling and work and stuff like that. Fully milled pocket clip, which has the WE logo, because the WE logo is actually not on the pivot of this knife. Very good functional pocket clip. Pretty decent depth for not a deep carry clip. Like, that's not a whole lot sticking out of your pocket, usually. Also, it's kind of small. And between the lanyard hole and the actual flat on the pocket clip, the purchase for getting this thing out of your pocket is surprisingly good. I mean, it's a little narrow, but it's not bad. Also, you cannot touch that tip. That's something I want to mention a little more often. It is on bearings. It is centered. There is no play. The action is... It has a little bit like a grab when you first release it. Like, it only releases like that far, because it's got a pretty heavy lock bar, but from there it's ridiculously smooth shake shut. So I don't mind that much. Pretty good action. Not some of the WE action that we've been getting lately, where it's just a straight guillotine, but this action has its own, like, good quality, right? It's just different. Oh, also because it's a flipper, the stop pin can be put in a place where there's nowhere near the plunge, and that is not touchable because the back spacer or back strap of this integral goes all the way up, or darn near it. Lock bar access is they give you a little bit, but it's pretty well bowled out, and it's very easy to get from the side. I do think that it's more comfortable coming in from slight diagonal than it is from the side, but you can definitely do it. I have a tendency to, instead of coming in just like straight from here, just angle my finger a little bit further and do that. I mentioned the lock bar insert, so that's good. Interesting way they did the lock bar cutout, and this is, of course, the panel that houses everything that is necessary to get everything inside there in the due to the integral frame. Yeah, okay, words. So, first of all, I love this knife. I love the aesthetic. I don't know why, it just speaks to me. I love this thing. There were some cheaper variants of this thing, and I really, really wish I had grabbed one of the plain variants with the silver aluminum carbon fiber. It was just like one of the most plain variants, but it had just that carbon fiber with that silver, I think it's aluminum, lines through it. And just a plain blade. I really wish I grabbed one of those too. I think they're all pretty much gone now. I only know of like one or two variants of this thing that are still floating around, and they're not really ones. It's like the red, white, and blue carbon fiber variant, which I'm just not as interested in. But if I ever find on Blade Binge or anything else one of those variants that is just a plain one with that silver carbon fiber and a plain blade, yeah, I'm gonna probably buy it. As long as it's in decent condition. I really would like to get another one of these. It's great in the hand. The ergos are spectacular. The clip is as much as it possibly can disappear on a relatively thin handle. It's great. It's super comfortable. There's no hot spots. It's really wonderful. It's really interesting looking knife. It's great performer. But the big elephant in the room is WE's Damasteel. And normally, I wouldn't suggest buying any knife from WE in their Damasteel. Why? Because their Damasteel tends to add $200 to $300 to their price. You take a $200, maybe even $400. You take a $200 knife, and suddenly it's like a $600 knife, or a $250 knife and $600 knife now. Yeah, it's really, really overpriced just for Damasteel and the mirror polish that they put on it. It's quite attractive. They do a very good job, and there's not that many out there doing it, but it's not enough to warrant what they ask. However, this was the one, and this variant actually can, I believe, still be found occasionally in some places, maybe. Try White Mountain Knives or maybe Knife Center. I think they might have a variant left. This knife is an absolute anomaly because this is an integral. And this was still in the same range as WE's other polished Damasteel knives. So instead of the $300 knife that goes up to $600 or $650, you now have a very well-appointed and detailed integral that would normally... I mean, these things were pretty decently priced to begin with, but it's an integral. Most of the time, you're looking at, for something of this caliber with this kind of finishing and the extra length to it, and not just like a flat, bland scale, you're looking $450 to $500, pretty much standard. Again, these were decently priced to begin with, but like if you're under $400, you're doing pretty good for an integral. So this knife was starting off on a position where it was $450 to $500 of value, in my opinion, out of the gate, because that's what you would get with its comparisons. So the fact that this thing was priced the same as most other WE Damasteel variants. I mean, there were WE Damasteel variants that were not integrals that of plain, simpler knives that are more expensive than this, that hit that $700 mark. This did not do that. So instead of adding, you know, $300 to $400 on there, this was polished Damasteel for 150 bucks, 175 bucks over the what you might expect it to be. So I think this one actually flew under the radar a little bit for some people, but I mean, of course, it's always going to appeal to very few people, just due to the nature of this thing being as expensive as it is and as crazy of a version as it is. But weirdly enough, this one brought pretty good value to the table. At the, I think it was $650 or $675 that this thing actually sold for originally, and you might even be able to get it discounted now if you wait for a sale or something like that, because it's an older model at this point. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, this one is kind of weird. They left the pricing approximately in the same ballpark as the rest of their Damasteel polished things. Yet this is definitely a more expensive, intrinsically expensive and work-intensive knife. So, yeah. I thought this one was worth it, and it was also pretty attractive. I do kind of wish they went with, like, a carbon fiber that better accented maybe the handle colors, but it pops with the plasma and everything like that, so it's fine. I still love the knife, and this is a really good one. So yeah, the WE Orpheus is a fun one that they didn't do any more than one release of. Like, lately they've been doing, on some of their knives, the WE Cybernetic and the WE Xiphius in different models. They've had, like, more than one release where they've had new variants come out at later points. Like, the Cybernetic got the polished gray at a later date and everything, and so did the Exciton, not the Xiphius, but they haven't done any more of these, and that's a little bit of a shame. Maybe they weren't as much of a hit as they could be, but it's a really good knife. It's a really good knife if you can get it for a good price, and if you happen to know where one is that plain with the silver aluminum carbon fiber in it, let me know down in the comments, because if it's in good condition, like pretty darn near new condition, maybe like not sharpened or only sharpened once, yeah, if someone wants to get rid of it, I'm gonna have a very hard time saying no. or maybe you shouldn't put that down in the comments for my sake. But either way, I like this knife. I like WE knives. This is a good one that actually kind of justifies its price far better than a lot of the other ones. Is it still a little overpriced? Sure. Even for an Integral and Damasteel, I'd like to see this thing about $50 cheaper. But for what you're getting here, yeah, no, this one actually feels much closer than the others. So that's it for me. Hope you saw something you liked. Hopefully you enjoyed the knife. I mean, that's what this is about, right? Did you enjoy seeing the knife? I love this knife, so I don't mind taking it out and showing it off. So, that'll do it. I'm out. Have a great day, and see you later.